So it's a great pleasure to introduce the author of this book, Ghetto, Plainsman. Please welcome Jarid Manos.
How's everybody doing? I'm Jarid Manos. I'm founder and CEO of Great Plains Restoration Council. We're based here in Fort Worth as well as Pine Ridge Indian Reservation in South Dakota. So I'd like you for right now to picture a hurricane. Y'all got that? Okay, you probably pictured it like from a satellite image, right? From up above. Well, what I'd like you to do is put yourself inside that at ground level. Right now, in the eye of that storm, and think that that storm has been a couple hundred years old. We'll come back to that. How many of you have ever heard absolute silence? I mean, real silence, to where there's no human industrial noise. You can just hear your bloodstream and maybe a beetle crawling 10 feet away. That is sacred silence, right? And it's extremely rare, right? We're losing more and more of that every day. And when we get to that point, obviously we know that there's a much greater power of God and earth right there that we may have been removed from, or all the chaos has pushed away from us. We need to reach for that silence. But I'll get back to that too. So, where are you right now? I want you to think again where you are right now. We're in Fort Worth, Texas, right? Okay, they call it where the West begins. Most people don't even know that they live on the prairie, and you actually live in the epicenter of what was once the most abundant, most profuse nexus of life in the whole North American continent. And actually, the Great Plains, you're wondering, well, what is the Great Plains? That's just flyover country. Great Plains used to be the most abundant landscape in the whole history of the entire earth. Now, what do we have left? Oh, it's flyover country, left for dead. You know, I think that our society has really just sort of separated ourselves from everything, but particularly like, you know, the earth, animals, other animals, others. All of our problems come from a culture of separateness. Right beneath your feet, there used to be, I'm going to talk about the animals for a moment. Right beneath your feet, there used to be 65 million buffalo. Clear springs and rivers you could just drink from. You could go down to the water and you could drink the water, right like that. Isn't that your birthright? We're on artificial life support right now because you can't do that anywhere. Used to be 5 billion prairie dogs. Nobody's a prairie dog. Oh, they're just some rodent. Actually, they've been here for 1,000,000 years. They have a culture of their own. They speak one of the most highly developed languages, and they like a coral reef in the sea of grass, or they used to be, and they made the grass richer, and they were a home for all these other animals. And you know what? There's only about 2% left. Okay, well, what happened? And why should we care? Well, everybody knows, I assume, the great slaughter to kill off all the animals. Never, there's been nowhere that has a landscape and as the animals suffered so much. Buffalo were shot, slaughtered down to the rifle barrels and melted. The prairie dog, poison, gas, shot. When a prairie dog is poisoned, it takes about 2 to 3 days for him to die. And you know, prairie dogs are real loud, raucous, and they love to talk. But when they're dying, they sound like a mourning dove. You ever hear a mourning dove? They're just cooing in pain. You know, there were buffalo, antelope, rivers, prairie dogs, and now there is nothing left. To me, it's our landscape of pain. Our land has been ripped, ravaged, overgrazed, strung up with bristling wires, and today any remaining animals have to struggle tooth and nail just to get through each day. How many of y'all have ever been really, really thirsty? Like so thirsty that you just feel like you're at your edge of your life. Well, I'll tell you, like the last buffaloes that lived in Texas were up on the Canadian River in the Panhandle, and in the hot summer, the shooters would line the river, and these buffalo are thirsty, and they're running in to go to get their drink of water. It was their birthright, and they would shoot them as they came. And then the ones who survived would run back, you know, mad until they had to driven back to come back for water, and then they would be shot again. And that is the way we lost all of them. There's only 63 remaining, and they're stuck in the 330-acre cage of the original Great Southern Herd. Why should we care? We'll get to that. You probably are not even aware of like what happens out in the West as far as prairie dogs. They have prairie dog killing clubs. They have what they call the Red Mist Society, the Varmint Militia. They have videos where they can basically now watch the bullet leaving the gun of a high-powered rifle and explode the prairie dog for IVG. They call that instant visual gratification. And they even have different names of way of how the prairie dog explodes when the bullet hits it. I want to know if we're just going to go about our lives and accept these atrocities, past and present. Oh, it's all right. Why should we even care? Let's go shopping. A couple weeks ago, I journeyed out to the far southeastern corner of Colorado. I have a friend of a friend has a small, tiny in-holding, little safe area next to the overgrazed and blasted Comanche National Grassland, which came into public ownership after the Dust Bowl forced people out. It takes so much to wrench myself out into the outback landscape. I mean, it's just like, I can't even really explain how much it takes for me to go out there, because I just can feel everything that happened. It's like it just recently. And some of those people who are still out there, the prairie dog killers or whoever, some of the cattlemen, to be honest with you, I feel safer on Murder Road than I do on the outback. But I'm continually propelled out there because I need to learn, and Earth is speaking something to me. Out there, it's immense. It's insane how far you can see. You can see into New Mexico, 80 miles or whatever. You're in the midst of immensity, and it's just like God just threw them in the sky with color and light. And then you realize that you're looking, you can see for so far, and it's all empty. It's just dead. The entire time I was there, I met just a couple animals, a badger and a raven and a couple birds. So you're walking. I was out there to write a couple op-eds, but I found myself day after day dragging myself out to the landscape again, wrenching myself out there day after day, walking through emptiness. And it's really short grass prairie. It's like the high plains. It's America's steppe. It's about a couple inches tall and 100 miles long. Just a carpet that goes forever. And what it is like post-apocalyptic wilderness. Nothing. Silence. One of the things that was interesting is that you can really well, you can hear, the nearest road was about 3 miles away, and you would hear a car from that. And it started to unnerve me, because when I'm out there, I don't like I shut my car off and I never use it again, and I sort of go back down into that silence. And of course, because it's a wretched and dangerous landscape, I long ago learned to see before being seen. So you may strip down or you walk in the low areas, you don't create a silhouette, but you move your body like an animal trying to survive on the landscape.